An uncharted island. Let me list all the ways you're gonna die. Rain, heat, and we haven't even started on the things that want to eat you alive.
That's Kong. This island is his kingdom.
It's time to show Kong, man, is king.
He shouldn't have come here.
Kong Skull Island. We'll double that. Only in cinemas.
What's going on, you sexy bitches? This is King Kong 9100. And today I want to be talking about the new Kong Skull Island TV spot that had just come out. And it's titled No Man's Land. Now this would be number 9 in the default order that's out of all the TV spots we've gotten. But since I don't consider that first one, the international German one, an actual TV spot, much rather as a teaser trailer, teaser trailer for the actual trailer, I'm just going to call this one number 8. So, TV spot number 8, No Man's Land. Let's get right into it.
An uncharted island.
Alright, so the first shot we get is of that mountain, that rock formation of a skull. Now, what I'm hoping is that that's an actual skull and not just some rock carved formation, because it zooms in and it obviously is, first of all, playing with the depth. And like, it plays with depth basically. Like, if you remember that shot we got in the second trailer where they're like in that giant ship where Marlo's John C. Reilly's character, where he's introducing them to what Kong is, and you see like those paintings on the rocks, and you have to be at a certain angle to fully see the picture. Yeah, that kind of looks like what this is, but yeah, it looks much longer once you zoom in. So, yeah, I'm hoping that's an actual skull, and that skull is of one of the biggest Kongs ever to live, and he was the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, and he was just the one that most Kongs looked up to, and he was so big because that's how big his skull was only. So that thing, he probably looks around like 300 feet tall in height, maybe 330 feet. But I'm hoping that the new Kong that we're getting in the movie, he's the one that's going to be the biggest Kong ever to live, and he'll be up to like 335 feet in height. So, yeah, he'd be 30 feet taller, but he would be like basically just as tall as Godzilla, just like 25 feet smaller. If he was 330 feet, which I'm hoping he is, because he needs to be equal to Godzilla in order to fight him. But yeah, that's a very cool shot. I'm really hoping that's an actual skull. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, he was so looked up to and he was so sacred that maybe either the natives they used their efforts and they carried that skull up the mountain, placed it right there, or maybe one of the Kongs did. So, yeah, that's a very cool shot. So, Tom Hiddleston, he's like, an uncharted island, which is one of the lines used in 2005 Kong. So, that's very cool. And he says, let me list the ways you can die. Now, we know this is Bill Randa and Corey Hawkins. I don't know what Corey Hawkins, that's the actor's name. I don't know what his character's name is. They meet up with Tom Hiddleston in some strip club. It looks like they're in Vietnam or some Asian country because of all the Asian people in the background. But the film does take place in Detroit, so I kind of scratched that idea. So Tom Hiddleston, he's basically just laughing off this idea of going to an uncharted island, and he's like, he's gonna list the ways that you can die. What's dangerous about the island? You don't even know what's there. So I know the first one is rain. So this shot is so cool because first of all, I thought they were going to completely skip the fog, going through the fog and the storm idea. I thought they were just going to skip that scene and just cut straight to whoa, look at this island. But no, and I'm glad they're not, because this is such a cool shot. It's going to be such a cool scene. There's obviously going to be casualties too, because you don't go through a storm unless you're picking a fight. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, if you're going through that storm, we saw how much lightning there was and how you can't even see anything. So yeah, maybe lightning is gonna strike a few helicopters and people are gonna just die. That's it, plain and simple. Also, I love the idea of the fog. It looks so dark and it's shrouded in darkness and it looks very scary. But then once you get to the other side, it's all bright and you're like I just said, wow, look at this world. Look at all the nature and all these creatures flourishing. It's just they're all existing and it looks very cool and life is good. It kind of reminds me of Journey to the Center of the Earth, where both of them, I think it reminds me of the second one even more, where they were going through the storm, and then just cuts to like this island, and it looks very cool. So then there's Japton what? That's Captain James Conrad and Mason Weaver, and they're just holding on for dear life. They're trying not to fall out the helicopter. They're hoping to God they don't get struck. And yeah. And she's like doing that face like where you're like trying not to look scared, but at the same time you're like, like don't kill me. Yeah. Also, I was gonna talk about Tom Hiddleston. I was gonna talk about Captain James Conrad and Mason Weaver. Their development they're gonna get in the movie, and maybe they're gonna have a relationship. You don't know that. But I think they're gonna start off by hating each other in the beginning, and then they're gonna grow to eventually like each other, to eventually being the only people that they have on the island. I'm sorry. I just noticed there's like these colored stripes like on the logo. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, maybe I'll make a separate video on the development they're gonna get, but yeah, for the most part, it's gonna be good. So okay, now he talks about heat, and this isn't heat like the heat he was talking about. This is fire, alright? So, and there's gonna be a lot of fire in this film too. There's gonna be explosions, fire here, fire there. Hey, you want an explosion? Too bad. Here's some fire. Here's your explosion. It's literally like a Michael Bay film. So, yeah. Now, the thing about this shot is that when we got it in the first trailer, I don't think there was a creature right here. A tail all the way to some mouth right there, or some creature. But yeah, when we got it, it was only them firing at nothing. So maybe they added this in post-production where they weren't even done with the film when the first trailer came out. But yeah, so now this is what I think. I think that creature is right there. And you can see that kind of looks like a mouth. That looks like horns, and maybe that's like something they have on the chin. Like, you know how dragons have that, like chickens, they have that little floppy neck, that thing, kind of like what my dog Spike has. Yeah, that's what this thing has, and it looks like just a long serpent creature. Like, it kind of reminds me of Manda in some way. But yeah, we see the tail right here. Now it goes all the way around, all the way to right here. Then I think it curves like this. I was gonna say that's the arm, but that's part of that skeleton right there. But yeah, we see it like go all the way. It gets kind of out of the shot, then back into it, out of frame, and then yeah, it's right there. So maybe the guy can't see it. Maybe he's trying to fire at the body to weaken it, but that's dangerous. Now, what I think this explosion was, I really hope people don't say, "Oh, look, James Conrad dabbed," because that's so stupid. No, this is what I think happened, is that one of the, because there's so much explosions, and like, unless there's some kind of like oil, I think, on that island, like radioactive stuff to make so many fires and so many explosions. Yeah, this was caused by them, the humans. Now, what I think this was that a skull crawler or some creature hit one of those guys with the gas tanks on their back, and it caused the explosion, causing both of them to not to die. Not the skull crawler. Skull crawler isn't gonna die for some explosion. Yeah, maybe one of those guys got hit and their gas tank exploded, causing this giant like explosion. So that's James Conrad, Mason Weaver, and that one guy you always see with that red bandana right there. I don't know, what is his name? What is he doing? You know? And I can't hear anything, so I can't break it down right.
And we haven't even started on the things that want to eat you alive.
Right, the things that want to eat you alive. That's like one of the key roles in this film. So,
To eat you alive.
and then there's Kong, and this dude just falls into Kong's mouth. So I'm assuming he does. Now this is what I love about this shot is that it puts such an emphasis on the height that you're at, because you see the ground right there, like the palm trees or just the trees, and that looked like the ground at first, but that looks like just more trees. So you're even higher than you think you are. And Kong, you got this creature trying to eat you, or not eat you, but destroy you and kill you. Like, cause Kong, maybe he's intentionally trying to eat that fat guy because his arm, you can see his wrist right there. He's holding the helicopter. Maybe he's like shaking it, trying to get it down, trying to get the guy to fall out. But yeah, that looks scary nonetheless. Again, I don't really like this shot because it looks like a game cutscene. Like that to me doesn't look like how Kong would really jump. Alright, yeah. So this is an extended shot. I'm sorry about saying alright, yeah. Okay, so like after every pause, but you know how it is, right? So Marlowe says, hey, that's Kong, he's king. This is his kingdom. What we know is that I will be talking about the synopsis, because there was one that came out recently. But there's already a continuing battle before the humans even got there with Kong and the Skull Crawlers. So yeah, that's gonna be very cool to see. Now this is just an extended shot of Kong looking at that. Maybe he's looking at the guy who looks frightened. Yeah, what I think is gonna happen is that guy looks frightened, and he just sees Kong come right behind that mountain right there, and Kong just looks back at the guy, and then the guy, he just starts running, and then Kong can either look back, either sad that like everyone's always terrified of him, or he just wouldn't even care. But yeah, Kong definitely has feelings, and he could see the humans, he could interact with them and feel with them, unlike Godzilla, who didn't even care about the human. He just looked at Ford, and then just the fog and smoke just like cleared. Not cleared, but it covered it. Alright, now this obviously is going to take place after the... Sorry about the background noise, guys. Yeah, this night scene with the giant skull crawler, that's obviously going to take place after they all meet with the natives, and they meet with Marlowe, because when you get that shot in one of the TV spots of the explosion revealing Kong, his shadow, then you hear Marlowe like, that's the big one. Marlowe isn't talking about Kong, he's talking about the skull crawlers. So he's like, we saw all these mini skull crawlers, well, hey, guess what? That's the big one. So yeah, that's gonna be very exciting to see. And then you get that Call of Duty shot of the skull of the... I think her new name is Mother Longlegs, so that's very cool. And then we get Tom Hiddleston slicing this pterodactyl creature, the same one that carried off Marlowe's friend. Not literally the same one, but like the same species that carried off his friend. We know these things are very powerful, even though they're like really small. Very powerful for their size. Now Tom Hiddleston cuts it. I don't know what this green gas is, but maybe they're trying to use that chloroform gas to take down Kong. That's a new one, so. Or take down some creature to show to the world. So he cuts this creature, this bat, literally in half. And I think that blood is blue, honestly. That blood is blue, I'm stupid. So yeah, he cuts through the pterodactyl. Alright, I don't know why. It's just something about that shot. It just looks very cool. So, Kong's collapse. That was one of the golden shots. I really love that shot where Kong is roaring because it's like the smoke coming out of his mouth and uh the fog. It looks very very nice. So now what we do know is that maybe they are in Vietnam. Maybe they're in some Oriental country because that is not American money, if I'm correct. Uh, the same one they use in Detroit, at least. Like that looks much more different. So maybe that could be. I'm not sure what currency that is, but if you do, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, Corey Hawkins hands off that another stack of money. It's obviously a lot, and then John Goodman is like, "We'll double it, we'll double it. We got you, man." So now this is the thing. We don't know what Tom Hiddleston is tracking. He's obviously not tracking Kong because you don't need to track Kong to. What are you gonna track him for? Just to film him? Of course he's gonna attack. It's his kingdom, like Marvel said. It's his domain. I mean, the characters obviously don't know this in the beginning, but I do think John Goodman does. I do think Bill Randa does. Now what I do think what Tom Hiddleston is looking for is maybe the ships that have been lost since like that storm has been around since like hundreds, no, not like thousands and thousands of years, millions of years maybe. Not millions. Come on, humans weren't alive back. You know what? Millions of years, yeah, because you don't know. Maybe the Kong species is millions of years old. Maybe they've been around for a while, and they just weren't affected by the mass extinction that Godzilla survived. But yeah, totally. Like, I really think that maybe Tom Hiddleston is trying to track those ships that have been lost. I really love that idea. It's like the Bermuda Triangle in a way. But yeah, I love the idea of the ships when they saw, like when you see them in that last TV spot that we've gotten. It's like the ships. They look like they range from modern day, which at the time was 1973, way back to like the 1600s, 1300s, like way back then. So that's a very cool idea to explore. Just like a brief explanation of that would be great. Then we get that last shot. Now Kong looks very menacing here. Now I'm hoping as an adult his head would be just a little bit bigger, but it does make sense if his head is that big right now. Like the top of his head is so small is because he's an adolescent. And I think that's what chimps have, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe gorillas, too. They do have small heads in the beginning. Yeah, that's such a cool shot. I love it. It's definitely one of the golden shots in this trailer, in this TV spot. Sorry.
Only in cinemas.
All right, that wraps up our little breakdown I just did. And knowing the way I am, it's probably like 15 minutes long, 20 minutes long. By the way, guys, I will be I'm trying to upload more frequently now, as you can tell, like with me talking. So, I mean, I know it's a pain in the ass to hear me talk because I stutter and I stammer and I stumble along. Oh, alliteration much. Yeah, but just let me know what topics you want me to discuss about Kong Skull Island and the MonsterVerse as a whole. Because I will. I'll be talking about the certain kaiju that will be on Skull Island. I'll be talking about Kong himself, how big he should be, how the fight would go down, how I think it should go down. Yeah. And I'm bound to get a lot of hate for that. But just let me know what topics you want me to discuss, and I will. So, yeah, without further ado, this is King Kong 9100 signing out. See ya.